Hello, it's good to be back with you. This is one of the videos in the Legal Research Fundamentals lecture series. Its focus is on Boolean or terms and connectors searches. This is a narrow type of search that really produces precise results. It's useful when you have a good idea what you're looking for, when in other words you know the main terms of art in the area of law you're researching. For my first demonstration, suppose you have a client with a breach of contract claim and you have to draft the complaint. One thing you must do in a complaint is state the elements of your cause of action perfectly, or risk a 12b6 dismissal for failure to state a claim upon which relief can be granted. A good place to go to make sure you have the elements correct is the jury instructions, because the state Supreme Court has likely put its stamp of approval on these instructions. So for us here in Colorado, we'll go to the Colorado Civil Jury Instructions. Because contracts is an old area of law and a really important one with a lot of case law, I'm pretty sure I'll be able to find the exact phrase breach of contract in a chapter title. So here's the search I'm going to use. I'm going to put breach of contract in quotation marks because I'm looking for that exact phrase. Now, I also want to limit my search to the field, to the title field. So I'm going to put the field restrictor TI in front of breach of contract, and I'm going to put the whole thing breach of contract in parentheses. Whenever you use a field restrictor like TI, you need to use parentheses as I've done here. My search yields a couple of results if we click the search button. I get 3 results to be precise, and this is a good thing. It shows how exacting a Boolean search is. It's not like a natural language search where in some ways we get too many search results and we have to spend a lot of time sifting through them to find what we really want. Now, as we're reviewing our results, notice that you can see a small, medium, or large amount of information by clicking this icon. Right now, I'm set up to a medium amount of detail, but you might want to play around with these levels, less, more, and most, in order to see which works best for you. And of course, depending on a given search, you might want to switch that up. For example, here, I think even if we showed the least detail, we'd see right away that result number 3 is on target. Chapter 3010, Elements of Liability for Breach of Contract, is exactly what we want. If we click into it, we get further confirmation of that. We see the jury instruction, which should be familiar to all 1Ls taking contracts, for the jury instruction for breach of contract. Okay, let's switch gears a bit. Suppose we struck out with the search we just ran with the quotation marks because the exact phrase breach of contract didn't appear in a title. Given that contracts law is so important, we'd still be pretty sure we'd find the elements of breach of contract in a title in these jury instructions. So what I would do is simply make the search a little less precise by dropping the quotation marks. So our search would look like this. TI breach/S contract. I'm still searching only the titles, but now I'm searching for the word breach within the same sentence as the word contract. This search yields more results, 13 to be precise, but it's still a very manageable number, getting us to where we want to be pretty efficiently. If we scroll down, we see that result number 11 is the correct chapter, the same one we got last time, chapter 3010. For our next demonstration, let's change hypotheticals and go back to the main search page. Let's say we're interested in doing research on residential sales, but we're worried that the courts might be using either residential or simply residence. This is a situation in which we can use what I call the wildcard operator. First, make sure that you've selected Colorado as your database. So click in here. I already have selected Colorado. But if, say, you have federal or something else selected, you want to change your database to Colorado. And then type this search, breach /3 contract /s residin, RESIDEN, exclamation point. I want you to notice two things. First, the /3 means within 3 words of. I'm searching for the word breach within 3 words of the word contract. Second, the exclamation point, it's that wildcard I was talking about. It means that I want any word that begins with RESIDEN. The ending could be anything. So that could include residence, residential, etc. You already know that /s means within the same sentence of. If we run our search, we get some 30 results. And I just want to point out again, make sure you're looking at the level of detail you want. We had changed it to less detail. So you might, for example, want to change to most detail. In addition, note that you can sort by a variety of categories. We see right away that result number 1 does have to do with a contract regarding a residence. Okay, let's suppose again that we're writing the complaint in a breach of contract case and we really need to get the elements right. I'm going to give you 3 templates for finding elements, not necessarily because I want you to be able to find the elements of a cause of action, but because through these examples, I can show you some remaining Boolean operators that I think will be really useful to you. Suppose we struck out in the Colorado jury instructions and we never found an instruction at all listing the elements of our claim. We might at that point go right into primary law, in other words, cases. My first template for you for finding the elements of a cause of action in a case is this. HE, breach of contract, in quotation marks because I'm still looking for that exact term, /s within the same sentence as element, and CO high. What does this all mean? Let's dissect it a bit. First, note that the operator HE means head note. You're telling the computer to search only head notes instead of the opinions. This is a really effective search tool because if a case mentions a concept in a head note, then that concept plays a big role in the case. So you're targeting cases that deal in a significant way, not merely a passing way, with your issue. Second, note that I did not use the plural elements with an S on the end of it. Don't worry about that. If you want to capture both singulars and plurals, leave the S off. Westlaw and LEXIS will search for both. Third, note the CO. This is another field restrictor. It stands for court, and it restricts the search to certain courts. In our example here, because I put high in the parenthetical, it restricts the search to high court cases. Moreover, since we're in the Colorado State Court database, this means the search will be restricted to Colorado Supreme Court cases. But if we were in the database for New York State cases, it would mean the search would be restricted to the New York State Court of Appeals, New York's High Court. Just since we are in Colorado and my students are Colorado students, be aware that CO has nothing to do with Colorado. Even if we were in New York, we would use CO. It simply stands for court. Finally, as an aside, you do need the ampersand in this example because you're searching for two things. One, headnotes with breach of contract within the same sentence as element or elements. And two, high court cases. Your results have to meet both of these requirements to appear in your list. If we click search, this effort yields two results, including Diodosio, which is actually the case mentioned in the jury instructions in the chapter we saw before, 3010, when they recite the elements of the cause of action for breach of contract. So I know that this was a very precise search and got us exactly where we wanted to go. My second template for you for finding the elements of a cause of action in a case is going to be a natural language search. Let's suppose we wanted to find the elements for a conversion claim. This is the type of situation where a natural language search works really well because we can predict very closely the language the courts will use. The courts are probably going to say something like this: the elements of conversion are. If we run that search, of course, we are going to get a fair number of results because it's a natural language search, 105. That said, if we scroll down just a little bit to the third case, we see that the court is reciting the elements of conversion, and we've gotten a result that is exactly on point. As an aside, if you put a plus sign in front of the most important word in a natural language search, Westlaw will organize your results in order of relevance with that important word in mind. For the third template for finding the elements of a cause of action in a case, we're going to go back to the breach of contract hypothetical and type in the exact phrase, breach of contract, in quotation marks, within the same sentence as, and here we want to give the computer a choice. The judges might use the word element or elements, or they might use the Latin prima facie case. To give the computer a choice between element or prima facie case, we just leave a blank there. You could spell out the word or if you wanted to, but a blank and the word or mean the same thing to the computer. I use the parentheses here to indicate a choice after /s just to be really sure the algorithm would work the way I wanted it to work. If I removed the parentheses, I'm honestly not sure how Westlaw would read that search. So potentially in my mind, Westlaw could read the search as looking for all cases containing either one, the exact phrase breach of contract within the same sentence as element or elements, or two, any case that contained the exact phrase prima facie case. There's a couple final points I want to make, and these are about negation searches. What can you do to eliminate terms from your searches? I'm going to do two demonstrations. The first has to do with the claim we talked about before, conversion. Let's say we were just looking for civil conversion cases, and we wanted to look at cases that contained the word conversion in headnotes. Now, if we ran the search like this, we would get all of the criminal conversion cases as well as all of the civil conversion cases. If you're a civil attorney, you don't want to wade through all of those criminal cases. So to get those criminal cases out of your search results, you could put in the negation sign, and then the field restrictor CA for caption, and people, or, remember that a space stands for or, state. a criminal case will always be captioned People v. or State v. So in this scenario, I have eliminated cases that contain people or state in their captions from my search results. That way I'll only get the civil conversion cases. Another demonstration I want to do for you relates to a search we ran a while back, or a search that's similar to a search we ran a while back. Let's say we were looking for the exact phrase breach of contract in Headnotes. Maybe we did run this. Maybe we ran this when we were looking at templates for causes of action. So we're looking at the exact phrase breach of contract within the same sentence as element or elements in Headnotes. And remember how we restricted it to the high court. Well, suppose you struck out. You didn't get any cases you liked. You got cases, but you looked at them all, you read them all, you looked at the Headnotes, you didn't like them. Now you need to go back to the drawing board, but you don't want to get all those high court cases in your results again because you've already dismissed them. You already know they're not relevant. So instead of adding the ampersand and court high, let's negate that. Let's just eliminate all of the high court cases, and that way you'll get your intermediate and trial court cases. And with that, you have a good foundation for running your own Boolean searches. As I said in a prior video, if you take time to learn how to do this type of search, I think you'll be happy because your searches will be more efficient. In other words, they'll take less time to produce more targeted results. Thanks, and see you next time.